What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we are excited to talk about Baltimore Ravens against the Arizona Cardinals preseason game 2 of 3. Looking forward to this one tonight at 8 p.m. So we wanted to give you guys a little preview, some notes and ideas, some guys to focus on, and really just get you ready and primed for the game so you can have your eyes in the right places at every play and be looking out for certain things. So we'll talk about players and maybe some specific groups, bubble guys, all the above. So Glenn, where you want to start? We're going to talk about a lot here. You want to start with a specific player, group, or where you want to go?
Yeah, well, the game is 8 o'clock tonight, Sunday night, taking on the Arizona Cardinals, and they will be seeing some familiar faces, some on the sidelines, some on the in between the white lines. Trace McSorley is likely going to get the start, so they're playing their former quarterback in Trace, who I'm sure has some extra motivation taking on his former team. Let's see here. But yeah, so let's get started into who we expect to play and who needs to play well if they're going to play to try and make this roster. So first and foremost, I think we all know that the big time stars aren't going to be playing in this one. The guys that don't need it aren't going to be out there. So Lamar Jackson won't be out there. Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins. I don't expect to see Morgan Moses or Kevin Zeitler. Trying to think offensively, who else won't be out there? Do you think we'll see Rashad Bateman, or do you think that's waste? So no Rashad Bateman. How about Devin Duvernay?
I say still no.
Yeah, I don't really think with all these young guys fighting for what seems to be and
you want to give them reps.
Yeah, I mean there might be only one spot, especially with the Demarcus Robinson signing. That might even be tough to even say there's one spot up for grabs, because really, if you look at the roster, it seems like there might be 5 locks if he's a lock.
Right.
So yeah, let's let these young guys run. So on the defensive side of the ball, I don't expect Marcus Williams out there at safety. I don't think Chuck Clark will play. And I don't think Calais Campbell's going to be out there. What about some of the young defensive linemen? Do you think Metabike, Broderick Washington? What's your thoughts on those guys playing?
Yeah, I can see Broderick Washington out there. I think Metabike sits. I think we'll see Washington. I think we'll see Jones. I think we'll see Mack, right? He's still out there, still running around.
Let's see. He might be.
But certainly Jones Jones and Washington, I think we'll see up front. And then on the edge, I'm excited to see more Steven Means.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. I'm excited to see more of him devour second string guys and prove that, like you said, Glenn, he's right below Houston and Adafe as far as our best pass rushers that we have. Mm-hmm. On the outside as well, Dalen Hayes is a guy we want to see a lot of in this game. And we're excited to see what he can do. What do you think about 59?
Yeah, Dalen Hayes to me has to show some more pass rush in this one. I think we all know that he's going to be a solid player when it comes to setting the edge and playing the run, and he's a smart guy. But I need to see some more pass rush ability out of him, or he's not even going to be on the field in those moments, especially when we see the return of David Ojabo, because I think you're right. In when we've been hyping up Means has been playing well, and I think that Means right now is the guy that I would tab as kind of opposite Adafe Owe in those pass rush situations, unless Dalen can show that he can either bring it from the outside or be shifted inside like we saw them use with Za'Darius so many times over the years when he was here. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have to show it that he can either bring it interior or on the outside, because if not, he's going to be stuck being a downs 1 and 2 player and just defending the run. I don't think he wants to be that, because you get paid at the outside linebacker spot by getting to the pass. So let's see some of that from Dalen Hayes. I think it's a big game for him.
Yeah, you make a lot less money. Ask Courtney Upshaw.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these other guys, you make a lot less money if you're a run stuffer. But let's stay on the defensive side of the ball. And one of the things I think is intriguing that you kind of mentioned before the show here is the secondary and I know we're kind of skipping over the middle linebackers right now, but we'll jump right to the secondary and specifically at safety, because I think at corner, what we want to see is pretty simple, at least for me. You want to see Pepe Williams out there. You want to see Armour Davis out there. Honestly, this sounds crazy. I think Kevon Seymour is a lock because he plays so much on special teams. Another nugget that I heard from a source. So,
Brandon Stevens too, Jimbo. We haven't seen
yeah,
a ton
that's
of
true.
him.
Had a good play at practice. I forgot to mention that. Had a few good plays at practice, but definitely want to see him. But I want to see these young guys out there and get some run. But safety, Glenn, talk to me about what's going through your mind about the guys behind the ones we know to be locks.
Yeah, so clearly Chuck Clark, Kyle Hamilton, and Marcus Williams are locks to make this team. The question is, what do they do with Tony Jefferson, Geno Stone, Ardarius Washington? What happens to those guys? There's not enough room. I think Ardarius is obviously a prime candidate for practice squad if they decide that he's worthy of that spot, because even though it is expanded, it's still a valuable spot. Does he make enough plays to find himself on there? I think it's nearly impossible for him to make it as safety on this roster unless there was an injury or a rash of injuries. But my thing is, can they get Tony and Geno Stone on this roster? Because every time I turn on the TV, all I see is Tony Jefferson stuffing guys at the line of scrimmage and Geno Stone making plays everywhere. Last game, Geno Stone had the interception. He had a big-time tackle for loss where he came in like a dart from the secondary and brought the guy down, I think, 3 to 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's made plays in regular season games. The guy just – it's like one of those things where you want to kind of count him out because of some of his physical limitations, but the guy's got instincts you just can't teach. He's always around the ball. I just love having Geno on this team. I hope he finds a way on the roster. And Tony Jefferson, my goodness, what's there not to like about him? The guy has always been known for his ability to come up and stuff the run. I think he's extremely valuable in that regard, but we've been seeing a lot more plays being made in the passing game from Tony. We saw a fantastic diving interception in practice that happened right in front of me and you, Jimbo, a couple weeks ago, where it was just sensational. He really tipped it to himself and made a diving play on the ball. The guy has been much improved in the passing game, which was really the only weakness in Tony Jefferson's game, because he's fantastic in the locker room. He'll never miss a workout. He's a great leader. What's not to like about him other than his limitations against the pass, which he seems to have worked on and gotten better at? So how do they find a way to have not just their 3 studs who we expect to play a ton at safety, but also find a way to get Tony and Geno on the field? The only way is they got to ball out in these preseason games.
100%. So keep your eyes on Tony, how many reps he gets. It could be telling, right? If he gets a lot of reps, it honestly probably means he's on the bubble. But if he doesn't, it's a bit more solidified than maybe we thought. But you're right. Yeah. Keep your eyes on. I think the one to really keep your eyes on, though, is Geno. Keep your eyes on Geno Stone. And I agree with you, Glenn. He always seems to be around that football. And that is a trait that a safety needs, just has a knack for the ball, right? Some of those things you can't teach. So I think that's defensively. The only other thing I think defensively we want to speak on is the inside linebacker position. And we know who our starters are, but we want to see Malik Harrison be consistent. Had some nice plays in the last game, but then got embarrassed. Stinkers. Yeah, got embarrassed pretty poorly by that stiff arm, especially for how big he is. That was a bit surprising. So we want to see him be more consistent. And then also we want to see the young guys. Ross is, of course, a guy that I liked and has shined in moments in practice and in games. And he could be one of those undrafted guys.
I think he played fantastic, Jimbo.
Yeah. In the right spot at the right time. Like,
not so much for my guy. Zacoby McClain had a tough game. So he's looking to bounce back. But your guy, John Ross, he showed up big for you. So shout out to you for kind of tabbing him pretty early.
Yeah.
He played well. And then defensively also, last one, up front, who plays, who doesn't. We know one guy who will play is Travis Jones. And we loved what we saw from him really all camp and in that first preseason game. Let's keep building Travis. Let's continue to get better, but also let's improve that confidence even more by going out and having a big second preseason game, because we need him to be not just to continue to get better, but we need him to be confident going into week 1, because he's a big time player for this Ravens defense.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And we want to see some special moments like we did in the last game. So let's go over to the offensive side of the ball. Go right under center. I imagine that it's going to be Tyler Huntley starting this game, but we'll get a large dose of
Anthony Brown.
Anthony Brown. I want to say Josh Brown. I have no idea why. Anthony Brown, of course, the free agent out of Oregon, another Pac-12 quarterback, no big deal. Looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll get, like I said, a large dose of him along with Tyler Huntley. But behind them, let's talk about the running back room, Glenn, because Clement is gone. We got, obviously, JK is not going to be playing, but he's going to be the bell cow most likely week 1. You got Mike Davis, and you got Justice Hill, and you got Beatty, right? I think that of the three, I think that Justice Hill needs to have the biggest game, but I think he had big moments in that last game. I think he needs to rock a little more.
Yeah, I want to see a lot more of Beatty, and I want to see some Justice Hill. Here's the thing: Mike Davis had a little bit of a, I think it was they called it it's an undisclosed injury, so we're not really sure what it was, but it was minor. So I don't need to see Mike Davis. We saw a little bit more of him than I thought we were going to see in week 1. Yeah. So I'm with you, Jimbo. Let's see a heavy dose of these young guys, and that really that group includes Justice Hill in my mind because of how much of a bubble guy I consider him. I do think he's got a good shot to make the team, but he does. There's a little bit of pressure behind him because here's the thing: we know that. I think the reason that they have a better shot at making the team is I'm starting to get a pretty good feeling that Gus is definitely going to be on that PUP list. And from what I've heard from Harbaugh, I'm not so sure that JK is not going to be on there too, Jimbo. I mean, he's still working his way back, and he seems awfully confident. But just looking at the body language and what John Harbaugh has been saying, I'm not so sure JK is going to be ready to go out there week 1. So certainly I think Gus is PUP listed, which opens up a running back spot, at least until he's back. And if JK's out too, then you're talking about you're relying completely on Mike Davis, Justice Hill, and Nate McCrary. That man, is that better than what they had last year with Latavius Murray and Devonta Freeman?
Yep.
I don't know if that's better. I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, let's get as many reps for Beatty, Justice Hill as we can because they're likely going to be relied upon early on.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see how that breaks down. Let's get right to the wide receivers, and then I want to end, Glenn, on the offensive line.
That's a big one. Yep.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that. So the wide receivers, I think there's 2 names that we want to talk about here, and that's Polk and Bridges, right? Because we see that there's a decent amount of locks. There's potentially one opening for wide receiver. And I think Glenn and I both kind of determined it's between Benjamin Victor, Polk, and Bridges. And Shamar Bridges is the one that had the big game last week. Can he follow that up? Right? And can the other 2 guys do enough to kind of supplant him as the potential dark horse to make the roster? That to me is the storyline at wide receiver. What are you thinking?
100%. Can Bridges get open? Like, can he gain separation? Because we know that now we at least seen that he can go up and get the ball when there's not much separation. We saw him moss the defender in the end zone and even do probably a more impressive catch later in the game down the left side. So we know he can do that. But can he gain separation? Because he's going to be doing, we saw him moss a couple late, back of the end in the depth chart type of cornerbacks. But can we rely on that to be the constant when he's going up against number 1, number 2, number 3 cornerbacks? I don't know about that. So we need to see that he can separate and make those catches a little bit easier. And then for Mekhi Polk, I thought he had a really solid game. Some say he had a better game despite, not getting the hype that Bridges is getting. He made some tough grabs. Can he get the necessary separation against NFL corners? That's the question really for both of those guys. And then Benjamin Victor's got to continue to build. He had 4 catches, 30 yards. He's still very slight, but he's also extremely tall. Can he use that height to his advantage? Man, I'm just nervous that these guys don't gain enough separation. So let's see if they can do it in this one. But my thing to you, Jimbo, is do we see Demarcus Robinson in this game, or is it too soon?
Yeah, I think it might be too soon. I don't even know if he's if he flies out there and practices, I mean, he might get with the team after this game. I don't know.
Okay. I mean,
I
I'd want
just
him in there as soon as possible if I'm the
sure.
Ravens coaches, right?
Nah, yeah, for sure. But I don't think we see him in this game.
Okay.
No.
All right, that's fair. Now, what about I want to see more of Likely, but I want to see less of him getting penalties called on him for holding. So, what's your thoughts on Isaiah Likely building off of the 4-catch, 44-yard output he had last week?
Ooh, that's going to be interesting because I don't know if he's going to get the same. I mean, he's a rookie, but he's a lock and he's going to be a contributor to the Ravens depending on him. So maybe he gets less run this game.
That's
I don't
possible.
know.
Or they want to see more of him, right?
Right. They want to double down, right? And say, you're a rookie, get out there, right? Yeah. So that's an interesting one.
No more penalties.
Yeah, so forget the offensive output. Stop holding people. Like stop.
Is there anything worse on offense than a 10-yard holding penalty on first down? Like, it's just
so
devastating.
Dude, literally that I can imagine being the running back and breaking off a big play and having a guy do that and me just throwing the football at their helmet. Like, you idiot.
Especially
like,
if it was one of those
bro.
holds that didn't even need to happen.
You're on the opposite side of the field. Or it's like, the running back is already 8 yards beyond the guy.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, come on. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I expect him to make some plays and won't be surprised if he does, but also won't be surprised if he gets less run because they need him in the season. The wide receivers are banged up and, the John doesn't want to run any risks and things like that.
There's not a ton of tight ends that on the roster, right? Like Kohler's not going to be out there.
And Poljan is going to get a lot of run, I'm sure.
Oliver, yep.
Yeah, Oliver's going to get a lot of runs, so that'll be interesting to see. But Glenn, let's get to the most exciting part of this conversation.
Yeah, the slobber knockers.
That's right. Let's go right to left tackle. We want to see 2 large heaping scoops of one Jawan James, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got to see him show power at the point of contact and the moment that he engages with the defender. We saw athleticism with his ability to move. Yeah. But we want to see some power, right? Just raw, natural. I mean, natural, unnatural, whatever. Like, we want to see the power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll take it in the unnatural form as
That's
well.
Right.
Yeah, we want to see him moving, knocking guys off the ball. But most importantly, I think what we want to see is him go up against. I'm hopeful that he goes up against some decent talent at the rush position because I want to see that he can, he can protect Lamar. If the worst case scenario is that Stanley's not ready, then we need to make sure that he can keep Lamar upright and keep Lamar confident that pocket will stay clean. So continue to make that transition from a right tackle only to a swing tackle at the very least. At Jawan James, let's keep building on that. Absolutely, this is a big game for him. Every snap at this point is huge for him as he transitions to that left side, which, as he described, is like wiping your butt with your left hand. And other than Jimmy, apparently that's not easy for people, but Jimbo likes to keep himself ambidextrous here, as he stated before. But left guard, Jimbo, right now, John Harbaugh said Ben Powers is in the lead. I think we both would like to see Tyree Phillips take that job. What's your thoughts going into this game?
Yeah, I think that what we'll end up seeing is the starting left guard in this game. And we'll see Cleveland start at right guard because what kept the starting left guard, at least in our minds, playing left guard in the last game was that Ben Powers played right guard because Zeitler was out. I think that we end up seeing Cleveland in at right guard starting, and I think the starter will be revealed in this game. So I think it will matter who starts this game because I think it'll be who starts week 1. And I think it'll be Ben Powers.
Now, what if Ben struggles in this game, though?
Yeah, I mean, that's a concern then, right? Like, if he struggles, then you got to go back to the drawing board and the third game is going to mean something. But he could solidify his role and be chilling on the sideline in the game 3 of the preseason and, very quickly, so it really comes down to him.
And that would be a disappointing thing, at least in my opinion, because I think while he may be ahead when it comes to consistency, which is John's thing is he's the more consistent of the two right now. Tyree Phillips still having mental errors. It's so clear in a way to me that Tyree Phillips is the far better athlete. And I know how the Ravens like to move their guards. And I think that with Ben in there, you're limiting your offense. You know, you're scratching some plays off the playbook with Ben Powers in there because he just can't do the things athletically that Tyree Phillips can do when it comes to pulling, getting up to the second and sometimes even third level. Ben Powers isn't going anywhere near the third level, as a pulling guard. There's just no way. He doesn't have the feet for it, but Tyree does. So, man, I'm just hopeful that Tyree can clean up those mental errors, know where you're supposed to be, block who you're supposed to block, always know your assignment, because I think that the ceiling for this offense is higher with Tyree at left guard.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. I just hope that he can stay healthy and improve his consistency. He's got to stay healthy, man. Got to stay healthy and get out there. So I'm looking forward to it. Any other storylines, any other things that folks need to look out for in this game, Glenn?
Yeah, well, I think the center position is right now it's going to be McCary at center, but I also want to see what Tristan Colon has, because if they start McCary, does that not all but guarantee the fact that Tristan Colon is not making this team?
Yeah, it does. There's no other way to put it because he doesn't play. I mean, he's a center. That's what he does.
And he's not the second best on the team. So what does he do?
Right. Exactly.
So I think if we see a heavy dose of McCary, then that means that Tristan Colon is not long for this team, because there's no way Linderbaum's out there after just returning to practice on Friday.
Right. 100%. And I'm looking forward to him getting some reps, hopefully in the third game, but I don't know if he will or not, being that it's the third game and we've had guys get injured in that game.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
So for sure. Well, let us know what your guys' thoughts are. Looking forward to it. Can't wait till tonight. And we'll be sure to keep you up to date on all of our post-game thoughts, feelings, everything above. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.